Edinburgh, a city we keep revisiting here on Spooky History because of its reputation among ghost lovers as a haunted hotspot. There are so many tales connected with it, so many famous names in spooky history, that we could make a channel entirely for Edinburgh-related spookery. Today our focus is on the underground city, which, spoiler alert, isn't a city and only bits of it are underground, depending on where you stand. But at least the part of the name is accurate. Two main sections are seen as the primary challenges for the title of Underground City, Mary King's Close and the South Bridge Vault, and both come with a reputation for hauntings. In this episode, we'll be looking at the South Bridge Vaults. The South Bridge connects the central old town of Edinburgh to its southern areas. Construction began in 1785 and was completed in 1788. Initially called South Bridge Street, it was supported by 19 archways propping it up. We'll get back to those later. Spanning 1,000 feet and would allow access to the south of the city, to the old town, and across the North Bridge to the recently built new town. But the bridge is cursed. Because this is spooky history and not bridge history. Legend has it that from the day it was built, there was nothing but trouble associated with it. In order to lay to rest any fears and superstitions, it was decided a local resident, an elderly wife of a judge, should be the first person to ceremonially cross the South Bridge. But the first of many problems would befall the bridge when she had the rather rude audacity to die. Not once to go back on their word, however, the locals ensured she was still the first to cross the bridge in a horse-drawn hearse. This left the townspeople distraught, with many refusing to cross the bridge for several years, believing it to be cursed or unlucky. What made matters worse was that on the site of the bridge once stood the house of local provost Nicholas Edwards, friend to the king and allegedly involved in the persecution of witches, even going so far as to interrogate them in his own home. Once the bridge was built, it wasn't entirely finished. Remember those 19 arches we mentioned? Only one of them remains visible to the public eye down on the Cowgate. The remaining 18 were all sealed up, levels built into them, doorways cut, rooms constructed, and over 120 vaults built underneath the South Bridge. It was thanks to these vaults that the area gained a reputation as an underground city, but the majority is only underground if you stand on top of the South Bridge, some sections actually requiring you to go upstairs to get underground. Initially used for storage by merchants, the poor waterproofing led to many of them abandoning it. No doubt the legend of the curse ringing in their ears. Over the years, homeless people resided in there, and rumours even implicate murderers Burke and Hare as having used the vaults, though there is no good evidence to support that. But their history dries up in the early 1800s when the vaults are closed off. Because if rich people can't use them, then why should the poor? There were some rumours that they were used as bomb shelters during World War II, but it isn't really until the 1970s when the vaults were reopened and reused. Many of them initially used as band practice rooms. Pretty soon a number of the ones facing street level became bars and pubs, each with their own gruesome tales to tell. As the vaults became open to the public again, interest in their history and the unsettling ghostly tales came to the forefront. They were once again a hot spot of interest. So what ghostly goings-on are associated with the South Bridge Vaults? Well, in no particular order. In the 1990s, George Cameron, a local Wiccan priest, moved his coven into a segment of the South Bridge known as Nidri's Wynd. Cameron's The Source Coven of the Blue Dragon notably conducted the UK's first legal pagan wedding in 2004. But it's the early days of his stint in Nidri's Wynd that interests us. The vault which acted as home for Cameron's coven was his second choice. Before moving into it, he had initially chosen a vault several rooms over, going to the effort of installing a large stone circle in the centre. As was good practice, he opted to spiritually cleanse the vault, and to do so stayed over one night. Accounts vary as to exactly what happened, but sensing that there was a malevolent entity present, Cameron enacted a spell or charm to restrict the entity's movement to within the space of the stone circle, and quickly moved out. Since that time, numerous people have stepped into the circle, and many have left with red scratch marks, usually upon their back. This section of the vaults is also home to an entity known as the Watcher, an ominous, black, shadowy figure that stalks the rooms and alleyways of the underground. Just below the stone circle room is the Banshee Labyrinth, a pub spread over several levels and claimed to be Scotland's most haunted. The lower level of the Banshee Labyrinth, known as Maggie's Chamber, stands more or less on the exact spot of what would have been Nicholas Edwards' house. Remember him? The banshee is said to be haunted by several entities, including a child named Molly. On several occasions, worried members of the public have approached staff concerned that a child is wandering around this adults-only bar, seeing her mostly in the area beneath the stone circle room. The feeling of dread and sense that you are being watched is so strong at times bar staff have refused to open up the venue without other staff members on hand for protection. It probably doesn't help that a stage magician keeps doing Ouija boards in there. I've done about 100. Sorry. In 2003, BBC Scotland were interviewing Norrie Rowan, former rugby star who now owns portions of the vault. In the section they were interviewing him, known as The Caves on Niddry Street South, everything went well until the edit back at the studio, at which point they discovered that during the interview they had also captured a ghostly voice speaking softly in Gaelic saying, "Go away." Another entity said to stalk the vaults is that of Mr. Boots. More commonly seen in the Blair Street segment of the vault, this entity is one of the best documented. Some suggest he is the same entity as Niddry's Wines, the Watcher, and that he acts as a silent guardian of the underground. Those who have claimed to see him describe him as a tall, imposing man, wearing a dirty blue coat and heavy, worn-out leather boots. Every venue along the South Bridge, Niddry Street and Blair Street has their own story of the paranormal, and reasons to believe the vaults are among the most haunted in the world. This means they are frequently visited by ghost hunters and paranormal investigators of all types. In 2001, Professors Richard Wiseman, Caroline Watt and Kieran O'Keefe set out with their team to investigate just what was going on in the South Bridge. Their first task was to assign a haunted order. This involved selecting the 10 vaults where the greatest number of paranormal reports came from and to rank them in order of most reports to least reports. The team themselves were not informed of the haunted order until after the experiment to ensure blindness of the researchers and stop any potential for influence of the participants. Next, they recruited 200 people. Now, some people suggest that these were all skeptics who later became believers, but it was actually quite a broad spectrum of people of different types of beliefs. Each of them were randomly selected and paired to a vault. Their task was to go into the vault for 1 minute and report back on any and all experiences they had, whether they believed in the paranormal or not. The results were fascinating. 95% of participants reported experiencing something in their vault, with a total of 172 reports. The majority of these experiences involved an unusual change in temperature, but also included descriptions of apparitions, a strong sense of being watched, burning sensations, strange sounds, odd odours. Interestingly, or worryingly, the vault which was ranked number 1 for the number of paranormal experiences was also the one to have the most reports from the volunteers. As this was a blinded test, which meant neither the participants nor the researchers were aware of the haunted order or specific history of the vaults in question, and those who were ignored in the results, meaning people couldn't simply confirm what they already knew. So I guess case closed. Science proves the vaults are haunted, right? Well, not quite. You see, the goal of the study wasn't to prove or disprove the paranormal, but to look at what occurring phenomena might be influencing people to experience things in these vaults or to find some sort of answer as to what was going on. People were asked to report on any experience they felt, not just those they thought to be paranormal, so everything from a breeze to noises to general feelings of dread. Only a little over 3% believed the experiences to be paranormal in origin, with the majority at 43% saying probably no when asked if they believed the experience to be a ghost, followed by 38% unsure and 14% definitely no. The researchers concluded that there were in fact a number of natural explanations for what was causing the experiences, such as the vault's positions within the structure, lighting levels, size, height and temperature. The data strongly supported the notion that people consistently report unusual experiences in haunted areas because of environmental factors. These findings strongly suggest that alleged hauntings may not necessarily represent evidence for ghostly activity, but could be, at least in part, the result of people responding to normal factors in their surroundings. Essentially, big, spooky, scary places, plus people who believe in ghosts, plus a few environmental factors, equal big, spooky, scary spaces. It's worth noting that although Professor Wiseman is a noted skeptic, Professor Watt is head of the Kersler Parapsychology Unit, and O'Keefe regular contributor to Most Haunted Live as resident parapsychologist, providing a truly balanced team for the investigation. So what do you think? Have you been to the vaults? Are they really haunted, or are people's own fears leading them to that conclusion? I hope you enjoyed that episode of Spooky History. Hit the bell icon and subscribe to be notified of new videos. Thanks for watching, and please do have nightmares. Goodbye.